I seem to find myself constantly talking about narcissism because I just don't understand it. And so, Ju- Julia, you're gonna have to help me. You're gonna have to explain to me what is
Well,
wrong with these people. What is wrong?
yeah, exactly, exactly. I, I'd be curious how many people ask themselves exactly that question. What, for Christ's sake, is wrong with that person? And even if we understand science, and if we understand the pattern, and if we understand the behavioral and the early trauma and whatever, but I think we all find ourselves, I mean, if when you are related with a narcissist in one way or the other, certainly regularly, but simply as an interested person, you find yourself like, what's wrong? What, for Christ's sake, is wrong? So we can make an effort to understand. Actually, once we start understanding, we see the patterns, and then it becomes quite predictable and it becomes quite boring because the pattern is always the same. The cycle of abuse is always the same. The cycle of conflict is always the same. So you can predict, okay, this will take another 3 weeks and we'll be back to square one. But it's like the insanity and the extreme situations narcissistic or cluster B personalities put themselves in, and the people they supposedly love, is like, it's I haven't heard of anything comparable really up until now.
So, a pattern, you just mentioned that there's a pattern that happens. It can become boring, even if we have been studying and trying to get information on it. We'll start to figure out that, wait a minute, this is a cycle that it just keeps repeating itself. It's almost there on autopilot to create a disruption, to create a problem. How can somebody have an idea or get some type of understanding if they believe they're in a narcissistic relationship? What could I do if I believe that I was dealing with a narcissistic relationship?
Well, first of all, you need to become aware of the red flags. You need to become aware of the signs. You need to realize, ooh, this is not a normal, this is not a healthy, this is not a safe relationship. And I like to use the word safe because normal, so many people grew up with a narcissistic or cluster B parent. So for them, that kind of relationship is normal. That kind of blackmailing, emotional manipulation, silent treatment, freak outs is normal because that's what they grew up with.
Mhm.
But it's not a healthy relationship, and it certainly is not a safe relationship. And that we need to become aware of. First, we need to realize, hang on, no. This is not how relating is supposed to be. This is not a healthy way of relating. And that includes when you find yourself tiptoeing most of the time. As I said, when you find yourself being manipulated emotionally,
Mhm.
physically, threatened, insulted. It's all that kind of the arguments. If you get into an argument, I mean, most of us know if you happen to get into an argument with your best friend, just imagine. Usually it doesn't get totally out of control. You have
No.
an argument, you exchange your points of view, you go like, wow, maybe you get upset, but you don't continue to argue like for 3 days. At one point, you might even say, okay, I agree to disagree. I love you, you're my friend. And on this certain topic, we disagree. I mean, we disagree. I mean, that's pretty much the most normal thing. But with the narcissist, this goes on for hours. This can go on for days. It goes in all different kinds of directions. All of a sudden, we speak about something entirely different. And it can take you only 5 minutes. It can take you half an hour. And you're like, how did this whole thing even start? What is this super big conflict, dead or alive? We separate or we don't conflict. What is it about? So these kind of things, also the narcissist wouldn't take responsibility. It's like always all your fault, all their fault. If they only recognized how genius I am, if that person wasn't so dumb, it's like in the beginning, you might not realize, but once you pay attention, you're like, wow. So one thing that many people takes ages to understand, for example, they would say, I'm sorry how you feel. And when you hear that, you go like, oh, wow, that's kind.
That's so sweet. That's so sweet that but that's not really the way they're thinking, the way we're thinking.
That's not exactly. And what does that mean? I'm sorry how you feel. It's not saying I'm really sorry for what I contributed to the situation we are in. I'm really sorry for my lies or for having overstepped your boundaries. I'm sorry for that. That's someone taking responsibility, and I'm sorry how it makes you feel. I mean, I get goosebumps. It's a whole different conversation.
Right. It's not a normal conversation. It's not a conversation a narcissist or someone who has narcissistic traits does. They're not going to take accountability or responsibility, is what you're saying.
Exactly. But what they would say, for example, is, I'm sorry how you feel. So you feel like, oh, he or she's really seeing me, being really empathetic. But no. I'm sorry how you feel. You get a problem. You go somewhere and fix it. I'm out of here because this has nothing to do with me. And you better stop crying because, after half an hour, it's already disturbing me. So it's like, it can be, what I'm trying to say is that it can be very subtle. Mm-hmm. We feel they are there. We feel they do. It is important to them how we feel, but it's a very subtle way of going like, you got a problem.
Yeah,
there's nothing to do with me.
Well, if they do it enough, they're pretty much going to just come straight out and tell you that you got a problem.
Sooner or later.
You need to go work on yourself because I'm better than you. And now, when that happens in a relationship, and that's a poor way to relate to another person, we're really talking about someone who has no interest in getting along.
Yeah.
They're not interested in really getting along for the sake of unity. They want to make sure they're always on top. If that's the case, how do you live with somebody like that?
That I just before answering that question, I will go back to what you said before, because that's a super important point. They are interested in being on top. So that's another thing. There's a constant power struggle over the smallest things, like over total rubbish, smallest things. But it's always, it needs to be my way. Are we going to travel for 10 days? Well, I suggest 8. Well, then it has to be 8. As if it mattered, if it's 8 or 10, Yeah. But it's that it needs to be my way. It's my way or the highway. That's it. And then how do you live with someone like that? Yeah, I mean, the only way to live with someone like that really is to deny your own needs, deny your own wishes, deny your values. And denying sounds like a voluntary act. It sounds like, oh, I want to get along with my partner, with my boss, with my parent, and therefore I will X, Y, Z. But it's not like that. It's not like that. It's that manipulation, it's those insults, it's that trying to isolate you from friends, hobbies, and family. That's happening over time and over time and over time continuously, that you find yourself having denied what originally was important to you. Right. But it's like the water and the rock, if the water comes long enough, it changes the shape of the rock. Yeah. And it's a little bit like that.
And that's essentially what they do. They just keep coming to exercise their control. You mentioned a number of things there, so I'm going to ask this way just to kind of get a little list. So their means of control would be what then? If somebody has never experienced what we're talking about, or maybe someone's on a beginning journey of understanding or looking up what narcissism is in a relationship, what are some of the means of control that you could list that they do?
You know, if someone has never lived it, if someone has never experienced it, it's so hard to understand. That's why it's so hard to understand for people who have not experienced it at all. They go like, but that's not a big deal. True, one lie is not exactly great if you want to build trust. But one lie, I agree, is not a big thing. But if you're being lied to on a regular basis and in a way that it's presented in such a confident way, as if it can't be anything else than the truth, because if someone speaks like that confidently, you know, it must be the truth.
Yeah, it must be.
So I'm just trying to list like real practical things. They would ruin holidays, for example, because on Christmas, it's not about them, it's about Christmas, or it's about the children, for example, right? So then they would ruin the holidays just for them to get attention. You go out for dinner, for a fancy dinner, and already on the way there, they would create a conflict so that the energy and the attention is with them and that no one has a good time. Because one thing they cannot stand is other people having a good time and they feeling miserable. So if I feel miserable, you gotta feel miserable too. And I will take care of that, no matter how.
Man.
And
we're talking about they are willing to ruin a happy family moment.
Oh yeah.
Or someone else getting a trophy or some type of award. They'd rather ruin that moment, or a family reunion, or someone getting a promotion just so they can be the center of attention.
Absolutely. They would not show up at graduation parties last minute or without notice. They would create a conflict over absolutely nothing on your birthday party. On the kids' soccer game, I mean, and they don't stop with the kids or with the grandchildren, depends on the relationship there is, right? But it's like, it's like that empty barrel that needs to be filled and filled and filled and filled and filled with attention. And there's, you know, it's never enough. It's never enough. And they can't stand that sense of someone else is getting attention right now. And it goes, I mean, they go to great length to ruin your promotion, to ruin a fantastic moment you had, you name it, just you name it. And then for those who have not experienced it, now you can already start to get an idea. This is exhausting. This is exhausting.
Yeah. That would be,
This is draining you. This is draining your energy. You will start, because you still believe you love that person, you will start to tiptoe, you will start to walk on eggshells to not make them create a conflict. So you will start to feed them with just enough attention so that they kind of keep calm. And you're in that eggshell. Any moment the bomb can explode. Any moment, anything can happen. It's not like, wow, I'm really upset. I really didn't like our conversation right now. I need half an hour of a timeout. I need to come back to center and then I'm back. That would be sort of a normal conversation. It can go to like, I divorce you right now. That's it. That was it. And that can happen every Monday at 3 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's a horrible way to live when you have to be with someone that's so there is no regulation to what they're doing. It's almost like a knee-jerk reaction to life. And if someone is accustomed to trying to have a peaceful relationship, they will water themselves down. If that was happening to me, I guess I couldn't find myself watering myself down to fit in because that's what I should do, not knowing or recognizing that, well, looking at some of the things that you highlighted, that a person is lying on a regular basis. They literally are disrupting as much as possible. It's manipulation, isn't it? These are manipulation tactics.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it takes a long time for people who are not in that relationship, whichever
Mhm.
relationship it might be,
Right.
to realize that, because it's subtle. It's subtle. Once you see it, you realize, oh, it's not that subtle at all, right? But as you said, you will water yourself down, not only because of that's what you should do, but also because you try to find a mutual agreement. You know, that's
Yeah.
what we do. We find, okay, let's see if we can find a compromise. Let's see
Compromise.
how
Yeah.
let's see how we can solve that situation.
Right.
But the other person is like totally not interested in solving that situation, like totally
I don't want to
not.
solve nothing. I don't want to solve a thing. They want to keep going the way they are, then, is what you're saying.
Exactly. They just want to keep the conflict alive for the sake of the conflict, and for the sake of their attention, and for the sake of your reaction. Because if your reaction was stoic, if your reaction was like, I couldn't care less, then the dance would become boring. But as long as that's for people who then separate, you know, as long as you react in an angry way, upset, and upset is like a really nice way of saying it, because you can get
Ballistic.
outrageous.
Yeah.
Now you
right.
can get like really
Upset.
I
chose the word. I chose a nice word for you.
Exactly. So
they live for that. They feed. I'm
They
sorry.
live
You were
for
saying,
that.
yeah. They live for that. So a person could think, well, I'm justifiably upset, and I'm gonna let them have it. Somebody could go down that road, and actually, that's playing into their hand.
Don't do it. Be upset, shout, cry, fight,
Go for a
get
walk.
mad,
Take your
whatever you
leave.
need to
Take your
do.
leave.
Exactly. But to that person, you be like totally.
No, stoic. I like the way you said that. Stoic. That's a great word. It's some great. It's a perfect word for that type of a situation, because of the definition of the word. It adds to stability when we become stoic. It doesn't contribute to any type of trauma that or problems that are coming about. I'm sitting here. I'm thinking 50 billion thoughts at the same time I'm saying that. And I want to say them all, and I know I can't keep you all day, but I do want to ask this. If we're stoic and they're trying to crack us, because that's based upon what you're saying, they really want the drama.
Absolutely. They want
They
the
live
drama.
for it. They live for it. They want it to be a soap opera. They want life
Absolutely.
to be a continuous soap opera, because they feed off of that. And they
Yep.
will have manipulation tactics and skills that they've already acquired to make it happen. But
Yep.
when we're stoic, how how can you keep your cool?
Well, I think it's maybe the most difficult thing you have to learn when dealing with a narcissist or a strongly narcissistic person. We are using the word interchangeably, but it's like the most, because you got to regulate yourself. You spoke about regulation before. You got to regulate yourself. You got to have your support network, your therapists, your coaches, your friends, your lawyers, you name it,
Okay, got it.
to talk to. Because every moment that you let them feel your upset, your disbelief, your sadness, your grief, your heartbreak, because there's more than upset, you know, when there's a person lying to you, like straight into your face, and you've been with that person for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you're like, has this person lied like the past 15 years as well, like all the time? You know, there's a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah.
Including shame. Why didn't I see that earlier? Including, how could I be so dumb? You know, there's a big chain reaction in our own psyche. But that is for you to work through with whoever is in your support network. And then you go there when you need to go there, and you send that email or you have that conversation, and you be like untouched. And that's the work that we need to do, because the moment they get a reaction, you count to 12 and that's it.
They smell the blood in the water if we let them, right?
Absolutely.
If we let them. So you're saying the work has to be done within ourselves. To hold on to our own self-esteem and dignity, not thinking that what they say really defines who we are, because it doesn't. It's in their own twisted mind.
It's their projection of their own twisted mind. Rule of thumb, pretty much everything the narcissist blames you for, he or she herself has done that or is planning to do that. It's their own projection. It has we need to understand whatever they say, whatever they name call you, whatever they blame you for, it's their inner world. It's what they are about to do, what they have done, what they think of themselves, projected onto you. And if you start to understand that, I mean, really, then you get a little distance. Then you see he or she would say the exact same thing to my neighbor and to the lady at the grocery store. It's like totally impersonal. I just happen to be there.
Right.
But you don't believe it. For Christ's sake, don't believe what they say.
Yeah.
Right? And any reaction is normal. So to react on being called names or being insulted or being manipulated or being lied to, it's normal and healthy to have a reaction.
Of course. Which is probably why they do it. They probably do that because they know they're going to get a reaction by saying a bunch of garbage that's not true.
Exactly. Exactly. But we need to understand that every time we react, we feed the cycle, because they know, it worked again. It worked again. I'll try again next Monday, 3 p.m. It's your time.
All right. No matter what happens, I'm keeping my 3 p.m. on Mondays free of narcs from now on. From now on, I'm prepared. You just gave me some good advice. I'm going to make sure at 3 p.m. I'm going to be by myself, so I don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. So disconnect all your devices.
I know, disconnect all the devices. No social media at 3 p.m. that day. So they literally look for an opportunity to get a reaction, and then I'm just going to correct me if I'm wrong. They're going to build on that then. So if they get one thing and they got a reaction, they're going to try to make it. They're going to up the ante. They're going to try to see if they can make it worse and try to find something else. Smearing somebody's name, telling lies to their friends or family, they're going to just keep going along.
Yep. To an extent that you cannot imagine beforehand. I mean, to an extent that is crazy.
Wow. So we couldn't even imagine the depth of foolishness that could come out of them, because they'll just keep getting worse as time goes on and as they get older.
Yeah. That is, I think it's a condition, or if we want to say a disorder, that gets worse the older they get. And, you know, with the narcissist, the police is involved at one point. At one point, the police will be involved because they just are over the top, you know?
It's almost like a guaranteed thing. Is that what you're saying? That at some point, a higher
higher
authority
needs
has to get in if you're dealing with a narcissist. Okay.
Police, court, whatever. A normal person gets in conflict with the police once, and then they go like, oh, I
don't want to go down that road.
I don't do that again. You know, yeah. This will have consequences. I don't do that again. Not a knock. They will just wait a month or two, or depending on how long the cycle is with the narc you are in relationship with, and they will
do it again.
Provoke a situation worse than the first one. So all that will ever happen is that things escalate. And that is something, if we saw it in the movie, we thought it was funny. But if you're on the receiving end of it, you need to know
It's
that, and you need to be
not
prepared.
funny.
You need to be prepared. You need to know, okay, this time he or she yelled at me like a crazy person. Next time he or she will start touching me. Next time he or she will start hitting me. You know, you need to know, and you need to be prepared for your own safety and maybe for your children's safety if it's a,
right.
a husband-wife thing or parents thing,
Mm-hmm.
or your boss. This time he insulted or she insulted you in private. Next time there will be an email to the next higher boss, and then next time there will be a smear campaign to your colleagues. You just need to know this only escalates. Mm-hmm. So you need to take safety measurements. You need to take, you can't, you know, if you're surprised, then you won't react appropriately. Then you won't be able to call the police. You won't be able to set things straight. So you need to know, okay, this happened. And not like a normal person. This person will not avoid this situation again. No, this person will come up with a worse situation. Mm-hmm. And you need to be prepared for your own safety, for your own, they will smear you to death, basically.
It will escalate wherever we are in that relationship with the narcissist. It will never de-escalate. It will always get worse.
Yeah.
So it really, based upon what you're saying, we need to take it very serious.
Absolutely.
Who we're dealing with, and that they can't be trusted with their behavior.
Absolutely.
Because that means that you can't underestimate the depth that they will go, not just for attention, but for, based upon what you're saying, their reaction for revenge. If for some reason,
I was just about to say that, for revenge, because that's what we call the narcissistic injury. You know, you don't leave a narcissist. You don't correct reality in public with a narcissist. You just, you know, they are almighty, and that needs to be like that. And if you only scratch on that surface, you better get prepared, because they will be behind you, like, you know, big time. And there's something you said earlier, which I thought was important. You will never get closure with a narcissist. So when you said the work needs to be done inside, all the work, or the injury, or the trust issues that you will have after having related in one way or the other with a narcissistic person, you will not get closure, period. It's something you need to know. So you can just as well use that energy that you try to get closure with that person, try to make him or her understand that this has hurt you. You might just as well use it to do the work inside and leave them alone.
Even if you're in the same office space, home, same neighborhood, it's really about us then. And based upon what you're saying, from what I'm understanding, it's really about us making sure we work on our own insecurities or situations, so that we are not that easy of a punching bag for a narcissist or a toxic person.
Absolutely.
That means we don't have time to fix them based upon what.
No time, no money, no resources, no interest, no nothing, no whatsoever.
Okay, that's like, good. No money, no nothing. We don't have, that's not our job then.
They'll strip you down, you know, financially, psychologically, emotionally, mentally. It's there. No, you need to get that. And the sooner you get there, the better for your own health. To understand it's a disordered person. Someone, it's like you see someone with a broken leg. You don't make that person run a marathon. It's not going to happen. And you don't make a disordered person understand you. It's not going to happen. Just let's face reality. And we need to do our own work. How did I end up here? Where is my lack of boundaries? How am I going to trust anyone again. You know, there's
Yeah.
a lot of deep work that needs to be done. People who have been physically hurt, who have been beaten, who have been lied to, emotionally manipulated. There's a lot of work to be done. So you better take care of that and leave that person alone. It's a person with a broken leg.
Well, how can an individual see the broken leg? How many different types of, because there's all types of broken legs. Not every leg is broken the same way. Not every narcissist is one type.
Yep.
How can a person see the different types of narcissism? How can they see that broken leg and not step into a marathon long-term relationship with them? And you entered a relationship with someone with a broken leg emotionally, and they're not up to the task to live forever with you and compliment you because they're, well, we didn't see the broken leg, or they covered it up pretty good.
And it's not only being a long-term relationship, but being a long-term separation, because separation can take like 5, 10, 15 years. Easily.
So, okay, I know I just asked you that question, but please address that, because on my Narcabuse TV show on Instagram, I have had a lot of people discuss what you just said, that some narcissists are really good at separation. They go from one relationship separation and relationship separation. They're really good at separation before they finally decide to run away or go away, and then they don't really go away. So I don't know, address that at any point, but it's almost, I've heard so many stories of, yes, separation. It's like part of their MO. It's like that's their modus operandi, or however you say it.
I mean, you just said it before. Maybe we can bring those 2 points together, because you said what kind of types are out there, and then the separation thing. So let's see if we can bring that together. Sure. Because there's what happens a lot, they just discard you. Is that the right way of saying it?
Yes, that's what I've heard as well. Yeah.
So, you know, you go to bed and you think everything's been fine, and they go like, you know, I'm moving out tomorrow, and you go like, what? Where did that even come from?
Yeah. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to me?
Like, exactly. Who are you talking to, and what happened?
What happened? Yeah. What happened? Yeah.
And so they found what we call new supply. In case of an intimate relationship, and let's say the husband is the narc or the man is the narc, it often is a younger woman, someone who believes their story, adores them, and all that kind of stuff. So they found new supply that works better and less problematic than you do. And they go like, okay, let's go. Yeah. And they would go like, literally, they pack their stuff, they're out of there, and you were like, wow, my life just broke down, and they seem to totally not care, and they don't care.
Wow. Crazy.
So all the emotional bond, all the emotional investment, you have to understand and process, was yours. They are not emotionally invested because they are not capable. That's part of the disorder. They are not capable of being emotionally invested, of really loving someone in the sense of what loving really means. So that is one.
Well, then the whole thing is fake. Then whatever they were doing was fake.
Oh yeah, that's one of the recognitions you will have to go through.
Because they were never, as you're saying, they were never emotionally invested. It was one-sided, and then the innocent party, the victim, is living a life trying to superglue everything emotionally together, and they're constantly with a hammer trying to break it apart.
You know, and that's what makes it so, that's why we call it toxic abuse.
Okay.
Because once you're, maybe for those who have not experienced it, maybe you can imagine that once you're discarded like that, and you thought you were living in a relationship.
Correct, right.
You thought you were, you thought you had a life together.
You thought you were a team. You thought you were
a team.
Yeah.
And then you realize this has been a show in order to give supply.
Yeah, right.
For a bottomless whatever.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this is, you are broken.
Yeah.
People who realize and need to realize that, because that's part of facing reality. In order to heal, we need to face reality. We need to come to that moment where we face reality, no matter how brutal it was or is. But you are broken. Your heart's broken, your spirit's broken, your identity is broken. You don't even remember the values you had. And it gives me goosebumps when I talk about that. Many of my clients, they go like, I don't even know the person I've been with for these.
Right.
And people are with narcissists like for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So it's devastating. That's the best word I can find. You are broken and it's devastating. And there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of inner work to do. So that's one way they would leave you. And then the other way they would leave you is that they leave you because they found new supply. And then all of a sudden that new supply is not as attractive as it looked like to be. And then they go like, oh, I just changed my mind. Hang on a second. Here I am. I'm back at your doorstep with a bunch of roses and rings and a lot of romantic stuff and thinking you will take them back. And many of us do take them back.
I was going to say they wouldn't do it unless it worked on somebody. Somebody before must have taken them back. So they figure, hey, I'm just going to try this because it worked before.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, I wore this and I got compliments. So I'm going to keep wearing this every time I get in front of new people and they're going to constantly give me compliments. So this worked before. Now, someone takes a person like that back. What usually happens after that? Is everything peaceful and everything goes smooth?
You want to hear my answer?
Hey, wait, I tried to act as if I don't know the answer. And that didn't work. But
that didn't work. You know, honestly,
I've heard so many horror stories when people take a person that is narcissistic or toxic back.
First of all, I would like to clarify, it's not dumb people. It's not non-intelligent people who take them back. It's part of the trauma bond that we take them back. And take them back can be your husband, can be your wife, can be your parent, can be your boss, can be your friend. You know, we are not only talking intimate relationships.
It could be your children. It could be
your children. Yeah. It could be your sibling. It could be anyone, really. Yeah. But it's part of the trauma bond that we take them back. In average, people try to leave a narcissistic relationship 8 or 9 times before they leave for good. So it's part of the process to take them back. So now, as we have to start seeing reality at one point, you count to 5, you count to 10, and it all starts from scratch, only worse.
Oh, so if we take someone back who's had manipulation tactics and played these games, emotional games, and they were fake, we cannot expect that they're going to come back and be real and not play games and not have tactics. No. They're just going to do more of it so that they can, keep the cycle going until they find another supply.
If it's been strong arguments up until the breakup, it will be stronger arguments and maybe physical violence afterwards.
Wow.
If it has been financial disagreements, it will be financial control afterwards.
Well, the abuse will continue.
The abuse will get worse. We need to understand, because that's part of the trauma bond. Hope is a big part of the trauma bond. And
to make sure if I understand you, so they provide a measure of hope, is what they make it look like it's going to be okay, is what you're saying.
And we as victims want to believe it will be okay, because that's part of the trauma bond. So we dissociate from all the moments where it was simply horrible. And we know it was horrible, but we don't really go there. We don't really look at it. We don't really face it.
Mhm.
And now this person is back at my doorstep. You know, he discarded me, or she discarded me 3 months
And
ago.
they've come to their senses and they're back.
They come to the sense, and they saw that this 21-year-old girl is not,
Yes.
and wow, isn't it? He comes back to me and he's promising this, that, she, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And I want to believe it. I want to believe it.
Well, almost to the point that a person can feel they need to believe it,
Yeah.
and that the rest of it was just a mistake, and they were going through something, midlife crisis,
Exactly.
losing their hair, whatever it may be. They were under stress from work, and now all of that is behind us.
And now they see who we really are.
Yeah. Oh, they see me for who I am,
They see
where
me for who I am.
before my dad or my mom or others never saw me. This person sees me, and they just the toxic person just sees them as a piece of meat.
And you know that I'm being seen is one. I mean, this really is a key thing, because most of us lack that sense of being seen for who we really are.
Mhm.
And because of the love bombing, we feel that person really sees me and values me and appreciates my presence. This is like, wow. And that makes it so sticky. Because for those who have not experienced it, it's so important to know, between the gaslighting, the manipulation, the control, the lies, the whatever it is,
Right.
There's a little gift there. There's a little beautiful moment here. There's a nice romantic dinner with no conflict there.
Yeah, right.
And then you go like the carrot and the donkey. You go like, oh yeah, I know she's a really good person. I know. We just have to get there again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have to, I keep repeating that. At one point, things have to be bad enough. And unfortunately, it's like that. Things have to get really bad for us to be able to step back and to go like, okay, so now, with all honesty let's see reality, what's going on. Mm-hmm. But that's an inner, I need to see and be honest enough that this is hope. I'm not seeing reality. I'm living in a dreamland, because I see that person for someone that person definitely not is.
Wow. That takes some honesty to a whole nother level within ourselves that we have to go to. We have to.
Yeah, please go
ahead.
No,
please. No, by all means. Go ahead, Julia. Go ahead.
We need to be willing to let our life fall apart, because that's what's going to happen. It will fall apart.
Wow. And we wouldn't be the first person that happens to with that person.
No.
With that
not the last one either.
We're not the first, and we won't be the last. It's just our turn, because we're dealing with them.
Absolutely.
And once we stop dealing with them and learn the lesson and grow and fill in the areas where we ourselves had trauma from the past, we're less likely to, very much so, we're less likely to repeat putting ourselves back in a situation like that, because we have learned our lesson, we've had our turn, and now we come out stronger and we're able to help others. At least that's the way I'm looking at it.
And only if we do the inner work.
Okay, only if we do this.
There's a couple of clients that say, 3 months later, I was in a new relationship. You know, it was exactly the same. What's wrong with them?
No. Yeah, that's
but it's not exactly like that, because something in us has not been seen, and we still don't see the red flags, and we end up with the same person. He was so nice, you know, he was like, and then we you know,
start all over again with the same type of problem.
And that happens a lot. But
why, Julia? I'm sorry, go ahead. I just don't get why.
Is that we haven't seen reality. We still think, you know, it's true, it's that person's disorder. Okay. But I need to see, why do I buy into that disorder? Why do I keep sticking around trying to make that person with the broken leg run a marathon with me? It's like,
is it I don't know. Do they want to just get to the finish line? Do they want to hear the cheering crowd? Why is it they want to this marathon of love? They want to be in love. A person can want it. What is it that makes them not see? What can make me not see the red flag?
Well, that's a very good question. And that's exactly what I'm referring to. That's the inner work that we need to do. And we need to dive into our own trauma, into what we have experienced in our childhood, in how our parents related to us,
Mhm.
because that's exactly where it started.
Because
So
not
if
everyone falls into this type of a relationship, correct? This is not like there's 99.9% of the people on the planet that end up in a relationship with a manipulative person, but there are those that have that situation. So you're
if
saying
I Mhm.
I would need to work on how I handle relationships and where my trauma and troubles may be, my insecurities, before I
let,
present
let me let
myself
me let
to
me
a
say that
relationship?
differently. Let me
Okay,
say that differently. I would need to look into how my primary caretakers related to me,
got it. Okay,
because that's where we learn to relate by
got it.
example. So if love, which is the case for most of us, always was conditional,
Mhm,
then I learn that love is conditional, and that's my normal.
got it.
So now I meet someone and that person's love is conditional. Hello, it's been like that all my life. So that's not even, I don't even see that as a red flag.
It's just a part of the pattern of how you view relationships. It's just the way
It's my normal. I don't even
I
see
live.
that it could be different.
Right.
So if I could never trust my mother because I
Mhm.
didn't know if what I shared with her today, she would use against me tomorrow and make me look like a weak person and use it against me. If that's how I grew up, then someone doing that to me is just normal because that's what I lived with my whole life.
Right.
So it's not that I don't know to relate, it's that the example I had, and for most people, and everyone who listens can see if that's true, we have learned that way of relating somewhere in our early life.
Mhm.
More or less obvious, more or less subtle, more or less extreme. Or if my caretakers, that's often the case for adopted children, for example, simply weren't present,
Mhm.
then someone giving me a crumb is like, I feel like a king because, wow, they give
Yeah.
me something.
You just got a buffet. You just got a buffet from that crumb. And every time they give you a
Exactly.
crumb, you think you're eating for the next 3 weeks, but actually you're being manipulated and depleted because you could have a real meal. You're
Exactly.
taking that crumb of love as if it's a real meal, not knowing that it just fits a template that you had from your caregivers. And if that's a manipulative person, they are pretty much, from what you're saying, then that they've done enough reconnaissance and asked enough questions and watched you enough and others that they know you live off of crumbs. So
Exactly.
they can treat you any kind of way you want because you'll take it. But if
That's a cheap date. It really is a
oh,
cheap date. It's like
okay,
they
that's a
don't
good
have
no, that's a good point. They don't have to work that hard.
they don't have to work too hard. Yeah. So
They don't
it's
have to
like
contribute. They don't have to contribute. They can just consume whatever you give them, and don't have to be a contributor. They just consume and take, and then later on, based upon what you're saying, then the victim can look back and go, "Well, why is this happening?" And it's because someone has decided to use them because they haven't done the, as you're saying, the inner work. So sometimes we may need to just have time to ourselves and to work on ourselves to protect ourselves. It's
and
not
to become aware
it's
of
not
those
our
early
fault
imprints.
per se, right? I'm sorry. You
Absolutely.
said you were saying something, please.
And to become aware of our early imprints, because that's what I said earlier. It's not dumb people who take them back. It's not
No, no,
dumb people who end up in narcissistic or cluster B
no.
relationships. It's something that at one point we have learned something many times, something that has been in generations, has been going on for generations in their family. So we have to learn that my normal is not all there is. You know, there's much more. There's other ways of relating. There's healthier ways. There's safer ways. It's only what I learned. You know, I always like to say, if your parents spoke Chinese with you, you know Chinese and you don't know English.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
But if you have an interest to learn English, then at any given point in your life, you can make an effort to start to learn English. And that's the beauty. And I will just touch on that for a moment. That's the beauty of neuroplasticity. That's the beauty of our psyche. That's the beauty of curiosity, that we can learn new capacities at any given moment in our time, in our life, if there's an interest.
So if we want English or a healthy relationship, we don't have to accept that there's only one language, the language that we had from birth or our caregivers, that's left up to us. If that was toxic in itself, or it was mismanaged, if we were mismanaged in a young age, emotionally and mentally and even physically, we don't have to stay that way. We can choose to learn a whole nother language of life, and it has to be healthy, because if we choose anything else, we're stuck in unhappiness. But we can choose to be healthy.
We can choose to learn new ways, step out of the inherited patterns.
Got it.
If you break the cycle, your kids don't have to repeat it. That's a great motivation for many parents. If you break the cycle, your kids don't have to repeat it the same way. And every step, no matter how small it is, every recognition, no matter how small it is, makes a huge difference. And I love that, because that is like, I don't have to know how to relate like tomorrow. No, I just realize one thing. And that is a game changer. And then you continue and you inherit something different to your kids, which I think is beautiful.
So it's up to us, isn't it? Based upon what you're saying, it's in our hands to do what needs to be done. We don't have to feel stuck. We're going to feel it though sometimes, probably, more than likely. But we don't have to lean into I'm permanently stuck, because we get to choose to have a healthy life, healthy emotions, healthy mental state. We can't rely on the narc to change, is what you're telling me.
Please don't. You will wait another 100 years or longer. I once wrote somewhere on one of my papers, I wrote, healing is in your hands only. Healing is in your hands only. And then you get the team, whatever.
I like that.
You get the team that helps you. But if you need an apology, whatever, if you can, just drop it. If you can, just drop it, because it's not going to happen. You cannot wait on the toxic person. Healing is in your hands only.
So don't expect someone else who's toxic to come and tell you, I see the light, and truly mean it. They could say it, but we need to find.
They could say it and it will last approximately 24 to 48 hours.
Oh, they could say it.
The realization takes to last 24 to 48 hours.
Until they find somebody else. They'll say it, but they don't mean it. But we need to recognize change is not something we're looking for from someone else to make us feel better. We have to, would you say, a little bit at a time, right? We just we learn something new, that's healthy, we apply that. We're making a generational change in our own legacy. We're creating a healthy emotional legacy within our family if we decide to break the cycle. Even if we have chosen someone as a partner, as a life partner, and that person is toxic, we do not have to allow them to make us toxic also.
Absolutely. And that is something that I'm really passionate about. We make a change in our family system. We inherit something different to everyone who will come after us, everyone, because if our children learn something different, they will teach something different to their children, and there it goes. And we also change society, because everything that I recognize, I deal with people differently. So everything that is recognized here has a ripple effect bigger than we can think of.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm so passionate about, because it only takes one person. It only takes you. It only takes me. But the effect of this recognition, of this small step, this one time where you could set a healthy boundary, is huge. It's much bigger than we can imagine. And then we take it from there.
It sets a different tone within the family, within a neighborhood, within a community, across the planet, because individuals are not giving in to being self-absorbed, being haughty, being selfish. They've decided that it's better to be healthy instead of those unhealthy habits. We have spent some. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were going to say, please.
No, just to close that, every person you're in touch with benefits from that, because how you interact with that person is different than how you interacted before.
Interacting with other people when we've experienced trauma, though, can be challenging if we've never addressed the trauma. So we're going to need to do another one of these in which we have an audience of one. Thank you for letting me be your audience today. I am learning so much. I'm going to hopefully get a chance to have you also back again on the Narcabuse TV network, Narcabuse TV, which is on Instagram.
Yeah, I would love that.
Because I want to talk about you have a 5-week course that you're planning for next month, I think it is, in October.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a 5-week course, which is called Life After the Narcissist. It's especially for those who are coming out of it's. We spoke about facing reality a lot, right? So it's really about that phase. And I will start. The wait list is open, so you can. It's also on my Instagram. You find in my bio. You find the link and put your name on the wait list, and then you'll be informed about when it'll start. And it'll start in approximately 5 weeks, I guess. 5 to 6 weeks. So you're not enrolled. You just put your name there, and you get the information, and be informed.
Awesome. Your Instagram page is what? The name of your Instagram page?
It's Trauma in a Nutshell. You can find me under Trauma in a Nutshell. That's also my website. You're welcome to PM me if there's any questions. Just feel free to get in touch, because I know that sometimes moments can be so desperate that we need someone who sometimes only hears us. Sometimes that is enough to be heard and to be witnessed.
And right now, everyone who's dealing with someone that's a troublemaker needs to be heard, not silenced or in isolation. So hopefully this video will have the impact that both you and I desire it to have for those who are beginning their journey or need need a pep talk to stay focused on staying no contact if they need to. This will be, of course, on your YouTube channel and ours as well here at Narcabuse TV. I want you to know, and I want everyone to know this, I find you fascinating. You are a very intelligent woman who shares a lot from your heart. Some people can speak about this and it's all left brain. It's very cerebral. You have an extreme balance when you speak. There's a strong amount of passion and a touch of experience of dealing with a narcissist that comes through. That at least when you did the show with me on my Instagram channel, so many of my audience, they really appreciated you coming on. They really could connect with you and what you were saying. So you got to come back to do one of these, but also get back on that as well. And then I'll hopefully get a chance to do a live YouTube with you show at some point.
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
saying
Thank you for
all this to
inviting
you, and
me.
you have no idea. You're just sitting there
I,
going like, what is he talking about? That boy's crazy. Okay,
I'm
anyhow,
up for it. I've already signed it.
thank you so much. All right. That ends our show for today. But everybody, please make sure that you like, comment, share, follow, and subscribe to Julia wherever you find her, and go to her website. Of course, so much will be commented down in the description below. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Julia, so much. Any last
Thank
words?
you.
Any last words you want to say?
No, no last words. I'm very happy that we do this show. Thank you for inviting me. And for those of you on the journey, there is that I want to say, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I know it many, many times it doesn't look like it, but if you continue to do one step at a time, there is light at the end of the tunnel. It won't continue like that forever.
Beautiful. Everybody, stay the course. Take care, Julia. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Ciao.